It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations, all in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted. And boy, have I got an incredible guest tonight. This is going to be one of my favorite shows. I'll bet you're going to love it. His name is Eric Mintel, and he's out of, I believe, Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. He is a jazz pianist, and from what I've heard, an outstanding one. He is also a researcher of cryptids and the paranormal. And he has sent some amazing evidence. You're gonna love this stuff, guys. He will be speaking at the Mothman Festival this year, and he's just come back off of an interview on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So we got a hot guest. He is going up fast in the paranormal field. We got him while we still can, and let's bring Eric onto the show.
Hey, Dan.
Eric, your evidence, you sent me the evidence on your YouTube channel is amazing. What's going on? I know you're not faking it. Are you just in the right place at the right time or what?
I'll tell you, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. And, Dan, people like you'll always be able to get me, man, because you know what? I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like untouchable. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on the show, and hopefully we'll do more to come. But yeah, no, I'll tell you, Dan, it's unbelievable, man. When we're out there investigating these cryptids, whether it's cryptids, UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, things happen. Honestly, I kid you not, within 20 minutes of the investigation.
Okay.
And it's happened in several cases. And joining me on these cases usually is my spirit medium, Dominic Sattel. Now, Dominic and I have known each other since high school. And in high school, we're practicing martial arts together and stuff. We used to work out together. But in high school, I never knew he was a medium until he came back into the fray maybe around 2017. And you know how life goes. He got married. I got married. We wound up going different ways. But then 2017, he came back into it and said, hey, I might be able to help you out with some of your investigations because I'm a medium. And I was like, what?
Since
you never
when?
told me since when? So I'll tell you. So I always blame it on Dominic because I feel like he's a magnet for these things,
Okay.
And so, but he's also given us like a preview of what we're in store for. And I feel that way with our other medium that we work with, Julie Krause. So, Dan, I mean, like, just for instance, let me give you a little bit of background. I'll give you a little thumbnail sketch of like what happened here. So I've always loved the paranormal, but made a career of being a jazz musician, and pretty much self-taught as a jazz musician. But have had wonderful opportunities. We performed at the White House, the Kennedy Center, United Nations. I played for President Clinton, President Obama at the White House, and Clinton was 1998. Obama was 2011. I mean, just all over the place. But beyond that, we also play a lot of clubs and libraries, churches, you name it, festivals. And so that's been a big chunk of my life, has been performing and playing, but always had the paranormal in the background, always out there. So in about 2016, and plus my dad would always tell me these stories here in Bucks County, ghost stories. And we have a rich history of stuff here. So in 2016, I was watching a lot of paranormal shows, and I was looking, and I was always a filmmaker too. And I always loved editing and things like that. And I was like looking at the shows and I was like, man, I could do that. I could do something like that. And so I decided to start, and it was originally called Bucks County Paranormal Investigations, but I quickly changed the name a couple of years later because we were starting to travel and do a lot of investigations all over the country, as some of your listeners will get to know. And then we have our YouTube channel, which is Eric Mintel Investigates. We went from doing very like fun, fun, goofy kind of videos initially, in the paranormal genre, but
Right.
quickly turned serious when we started doing restaurants, bed and breakfasts, inns, that people were calling me and saying, look, I've got something here our employees are seeing and witnessing. Can you guys come in? So now it's turned into a paranormal tourism TV show.
Okay.
I'm on a bunch of different cable channels. So it's been a lot of fun, and we're just getting started.
Can
Um,
you tell the people what channels they can find you on?
Right now, they could find me on Temple University Television in Philadelphia. They could find me in the Manhattan Neighborhood Network in New York, on White Rose TV in York, Pennsylvania, Lancaster TV, Service Electric Television in the Lehigh Valley, uh,
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, and some places in Vermont and places out in Erie, Pennsylvania. So it's kind of localized right now, but we're trying to always expand more and more. And
Okay.
being the only guy doing this, the independent guy, it's that's a full time job in itself, just doing all the marketing and stuff. But we're slowly getting out there, and people are loving the show. And of course, we're on like YouTube and
Hmm.
Facebook and Instagram and those kind of things as well. So we're like you just said, we're just getting started. We're just getting started here, and it's been a lot of fun. But some of the investigations we've been on, I mean, they just blow our minds. Um, one of the, I guess I could start with one of the most, I guess, I don't want to say scary, but it was kind of frightening.
Okay.
But in the fact of the matter was, we were just trying to figure out what we were hearing and what it was. But to make a long story short, we were doing a video of the Beast of Bray Road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And this, if anyone's familiar with this, the Beast of Bray Road is supposed to be an upright canine dogman like creature that stands about 6 to 7 feet tall.
Hmm.
And it's got red glowing eyes, sometimes yellow eyes. And people have seen this thing for years, since the 30s, out, and it's primarily in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, that they've seen this. So one of our fans and friends, Ellen Collins, she had approached me and said, you guys should do a video on the Beast of Bray Road. And I said, I would love to do that. I've heard about this creature, but I really didn't know too much about it until we started doing some more research. And I said, the only problem is, it's like, we're out here in Pennsylvania. She's out in Wisconsin. How are we going to do this? Who's going to fly us? Oh, who's going to pay the freight to get us out there? Anyway, she paid the freight. She paid to have a video done, and I made her an executive producer for it. And not only that one, but we did a follow up too. But so we went out it was October of 2021, and prior to this, December of 2020, I had seen Lee Hampel on a program, and Lee is the farmer that has had all this activity, on his farm of the Beast of Bray Road.
Okay.
His farm is only at 2/10 of a mile from Bray Road. So Lee's been getting all kinds of crazy activity. So he was on this program, and I saw him, and I said, he seems to be like an approachable guy. I'm going to give him a call. So after the show was over, I looked him up online, found his phone number, and we talked for 2 hours. And he was telling me all about the research. I was telling him, listen, I would love to come out and do an investigation on your property. Would that be okay? And he was like, absolutely. Yeah, come on out. So October the following year is finally when we did it. And I'll tell you what, Dan, we got out there. I mean, we no sooner landed and things started happening. But we got out there. Ellen picked us up. We went out to Lee's farm, and right away we get out to Lee's farm, and we're starting to have electronic problems. So, and one of them was it was just me, Ellen, Dominic. I brought Dominic out with us because we wanted to see what the paranormal, psychological aspects of this could be too. Like spirit mediumship. And then Ellen's son Scott was on drone and working our camera. So the first thing that happened was, we're out in the field doing some reconnaissance during the day, and Scott is looking at us on his drone, and he has to wear virtual reality glasses. So he's looking through the drone. He's following us in the field over to this area called the bait area that Lee takes us to, where he's had all this activity.
Okay.
We completely disappeared off of Scott's digital screen in his glasses in this one part of the field. So Scott lifted the glasses up. We were still there, but digitally we completely, like, we were gone. We were somewhere else. So he couldn't figure out where we were until finally he took the glasses up. He's like, oh, okay, they're there. And so that was the first thing. And this was over by the area that there has been a lot of activity. So later on, we go back to Lee's barn, and Lee's showing us all kinds of footage and everything like that, and all hair samples. I mean, he has a picture which is crazy. He's going to be getting this strange mist that comes up in the field on these trail cam pictures that he has. So he has a picture of this weird mist coming over this roadkill deer that he has in the bait area. It comes over the deer. In the next picture, the deer's gone, and so is the mist. And those pictures are only like 30 seconds or so timed apart. So that blew me away. I'm like, wow, there is something here. There's something going on here. Then he has another picture with these orbs in the sky in the middle of the daytime, that inside the orb, it looks like something is in the orb. It looks like a creature that's in there. It looks like weird. It's like, and it's in like a T formation. The arms are straight out, and you could see the body. So, and this is so weird. So that really stuck in my mind, because what happened later during the investigation, which was crazy, that night after Lee showed us all of his pictures and all the hair samples and things like the hair samples under the microscope that are completely translucent, with no medulla, just really crazy stuff. I had said, well, Lee, do you think it would be okay if we did a night investigation out in the field? And it's about 8:30. And he goes, oh, yeah, absolutely. Just be careful out there. So, Dan, we went out there with no protection. We had a flashlight and a radio, because it was my stupidity of thinking that there would be nothing out there. Because honestly, I went out thinking that we're not going to see anything, that we're not going to encounter anything. And I was so wrong. Because that night of the investigation, we go out to the bait area, and the first thing that happens, Dominic looks up, and it's a beautiful night sky. He looks up and says, what the hell is that? And here, there's a solid orb of light going over the field. Big, solid orb of light. And we're looking at it, trying to figure out what it is. And all of a sudden, there you see planes around it. You see planes going around it. And Ellen's going, yeah, there's a plane there. Dominic's like, there's a plane there. What is this thing? So he goes, and it's going over the top, and all of a sudden it does a 45-degree angle and completely disappears. And so with that, we got it all on video, which was really cool. Yeah. So that's on my video called Beast of Bray Road Alive and Well. But this next clip that you have, I want to have your listeners listen to, because right after that, we heard a howl in the distance, very long in the distance. And Dominic and I look at each other. We're like, what is that? And then another one that's closer. And finally, Dominic goes to Ellen, who's still looking up at the UFO and trying to figure out what's going on there. Dominic goes, are you hearing these howls? And this is the clip. This is what happened next.
Okay. Well, let's play it. And then I got a couple of questions for you.
There's something there. Are you hearing this howl?
I am hearing this howl. It's coming from over that way.
Oh. Uh-oh.
That's getting closer.
Okay, one more time on that.
There's something there. Are you hearing this howl?
I am hearing this howl. It's coming from over that way.
Oh. Uh-oh.
That's getting closer.
So Dan, people are going to say, "Oh, that's a coyote." It's not. It was definitely not a coyote. And I also have to say, I also have to say this: it was much, much louder on site, because we had little lavalier Cinco microphones on here for close miking. That's how loud. That's how loud it was to be able to get picked up like that. And I left that part of the video raw audio. I didn't touch that video at all. Manipulating that at all. That's exactly how we heard it that night. But when we were on site, it was much louder when we were there. Go ahead, Dan. I know you got a question.
Gray Road. Aliens, dogmen, werewolves, ghosts. What are we dealing with there?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It completely changed my whole perspective after I heard that. Because why it did was because a state worker had called me the day before and said that he and a worker got out of the truck in the daytime and heard those same howls and screams. And to me, it was like a man screaming in the field, this low guttural scream, growl, yell combination.
Okay.
So, and again, UFOs going over. So when I hear
the ghost coming over the deer and the deer disappears.
Exactly. So, and then this worker's kind of confirming, well, he confirmed what we were hearing. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, it was just insane. I mean, we hit a trifecta of paranormal activity because the third thing that happened was this, again, this mist came up from the field that we were in and it was messing with the audio. So again, we saw, it's hard to see in the video, but there was this mist that came up from the field. And I'll tell you, man, it was just a crazy, crazy night. And the final thing that happened that night, the entire town of Elkhorn lost power.
Punishing them for you guys being there?
I don't know. I mean, we did something. We were ramping something up there.
I mean, this is kind of hitting Skinwalker Ranch, Marley Woods kind of stuff here.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff when we went out there. I knew of it, but I was not immersed into it.
Okay.
But the more and more we're talking about this and the more and more we investigated this, the more and more bizarre it gets because the whole thing was crazy. And then the other thing, Dan, none of the trail cams that night took any pictures. It was like they shut off. Because Lee sent me a message the next morning when we're on the plane coming back to Pennsylvania saying, none of the trail cams took any pictures. Mm-hmm. It was like something turned them off at like 5:00 that night. They didn't turn on until 7:00 the next morning. And Dan, prior to this too, when we were doing that reconnaissance early in the day, I baited that area with steak bones that we had the night before.
Okay.
And because I asked Lee if we could do that, he's like, that'd be fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking all day, was that a good or bad idea? But again, I didn't think we were gonna get anything. And boy, was I wrong.
I guess the question then is, were the steak bones still there when the cameras were off?
Nope. They were gone. Now, of course, anything could have taken them.
Of course. But anything should have set the cameras off.
Exactly. And that's the most bizarre thing about this. So that's a very good point. This thing it knows where these things are, so it doesn't let you take a picture. And it's so weird. And Dan, Dan, I can't believe this. I forgot the most crucial thing. Yeah. I forgot the most crucial thing why we had to get out of there. When we heard the howls, it was kind of like, what are we hearing? What is this? The fear factor was there. But it was more like a curiosity, like, what are we hearing here? But then Dominic goes, okay, shine the light over to where we just heard the howls in the corn. And if you could picture this, the hayfield that we were in, it's a 35-acre hayfield. I mean, it's a big piece of land. So you've got it's like a big rectangle. And in that middle of the rectangle is all the hay. Okay. And the corn is on either side of the hay, right? But the hay had been down. So the hay was completely cut down and it was flat in that area. But the corn was still up. So Dominic said, shine the light over to the corn where we heard the howl. With that, we see two yellow eyes going like this, 7 feet up in the corn, looking at us. 7 feet. At least 7 feet up in the corn, going like darting back and forth. And I got that on video as well. And because they're in the video, I'm going to say there's a farmer's light way down on the one side. That way you could definitely tell that's a steady light. Mm-hmm. This was another light that was closer, and it was light from the eye shine, because we were talking about the tapetum lucidum that Ellen's been doing a lot of research with this creature, because it's seen to have red glowing eyes, or yellow glowing eyes, and we got it. I mean, we captured it. So it was just a crazy, crazy night. And we got out of there. I mean, we went back to Lee's barn on the four-wheelers. We went back up because it's a haul to get down there.
Uh-huh.
And he couldn't believe we were back so soon, and so we got out of there, and then we went back, and I didn't put this in any of the clips so I could talk about this. So we went back the following year in 2022. We did a follow-up, and Ellen again came through for us. We did a follow-up in Elkhorn. We didn't encounter it this time. This was April of 2022. But what we did have was a town hall meeting where over 140 people showed up to tell their story of seeing this creature. And they all described it the same way. When it's on two legs, it looks like it's gliding. And when it's on all four legs, it's fast, really fast.
Okay.
So interesting. And Dan, there's another, and I didn't put any clips here, which I should have done, but there's another creature out here called the Beast of, which I didn't realize either. It's called the Beast of Bryn Athyn, which Bryn Athyn is a little suburb of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
There's another dog man there.
I'm getting a lot more reports of dogmen lately. That's going to be the next big thing, and I think you're on the cusp of it.
Who knew? I mean, I didn't even, and then come to find out these dogmen are all over the country.
Yeah.
So the next clip I think you have queued up there, I want to tell you, and then, then ask me any questions on it. A week after we came back from Elkhorn, we went down to the New Jersey Pine Barrens and did an investigation of Bigfoot in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. And now I know some listeners would go, Bigfoot, isn't the Jersey Devil supposed to be in the Pine Barrens? Well, I'll tell you what, the Jersey Devil to me has always been, I think, a misidentification of Bigfoot, because you've always got varying reports from the Jersey Devil, where it could be as big as a winged horse or as small as a turkey or a medium-sized dog. So the reports are always different. But a good friend of ours and Bigfoot researcher Eric Spinner and Art Mack, his partner, they've been getting reports of these creatures going in neighborhoods down in the Pine Barrens area and taking garbage out of the neighborhoods and going back into the woods, but on two legs. These things are on two legs. It's not people. These are creatures going in and out, and they're not bears walking on two legs.
Right.
So it's something is crazy. And there's juvenile Bigfoot sightings as well. Eric's been getting track impressions, hair samples. So that was one of the things we wanted to do. We wanted to go down to this area and investigate the juvenile Bigfoot sightings down in that area. This is a week after Elkhorn. And I don't know, Dan, 2021 was like, it was like a paranormal year. I mean, it was just incredible. Things just ramped up big time.
I got a lot of reports of that at the time, but I assumed it's because of COVID was keeping people home, so they were seeing more.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. So we're down to the Pine Barrens. We went to an area called the Bowl, and now this is in the Wharton State Forest. Really big area. And if any of your listeners are familiar with the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, it's thousands and thousands of acres of just dense forest and pines. And I mean, it's insane. So we went 5 miles into the Pine Barrens, and we stopped the truck, got out, went to this area called the Bowl, about 600 yards in, and set up base camp, and basically just talked with Eric and Art about what they do research wise, how they go about it, how do they look for tracks, how do they get hair samples, tree knocks, the whole 9 yards. And Dan, again, I went into this thinking we're not going to see anything. It's just going to be a nice documentary, like I did with like the Beast of Bray Road. I mean, and going in with that mindset, because I do kind of go into a lot of these skeptically. I say, I would want to know really what's going on here, especially in the ghost situation. But having said that, and having captured what we've captured, I'm a very firm believer that there is a real thin veil from here to there. And at the end of the day, people are seeing something, Well,
let's check out this one. It's the Hoops.
Let me set this up real quick. So we basically, we were in base camp. Dominic and Art were talking to each other, and all of a sudden we hear a whoop in the woods behind us. And at the time, my camera didn't pick it up, but Eric had high-powered audio going, and we picked up this whoop. And
Okay.
Dan, again, when I saw those Bigfoot shows and these guys whooping and hollering, I always had to laugh because I was like, is that what they really sound like? And when I heard that, I was like, I'll be damned. That's exactly what it sounds like. So then this is what we heard.
All right.
Believe that they do. I think that like any creature in the woods, they...
It was at this point we had to cut Art's interview short. We all collectively heard a whoop coming from the woods. Eric's high-powered microphones picked it up.
Yep. You hear that? Yes. Like any creature in the woods, they may. Like any creature in the woods, they may.
Eric's wife, Heather, decided to answer back and was getting vocalizations. They were having a conversation.
6 o'clock. All right.
Keep in mind we're 5 miles into the Pine Barrens. Okay.
That could potentially be what
Okay, so we're getting...
Patty was,
Sounded like a juvenile.
It's a gentle whoop. I don't know, Art, what do you think?
We definitely got some...
We weren't here.
So we just got some unbelievable activity right now. Dom was just talking to Art, and we heard a slight... That was her.
Oh, that was Heather.
Calling it. That was Heather calling it.
So we were jumped up, Dan. I mean, it was unbelievable.
And that Pine Barrens, that is heavily wooded, no houses real close. It's just a big chunk of woods.
Big chunk of woods. And I'll tell you what, when I heard that and when we heard those sounds coming back from when she was whooping and it was answering back, that was insane. And there's no one down there. I mean, it's a completely isolated area. And there's no houses. There's no way houses could even go down there because it's all swamp area around there.
Wow.
Which was just blew our minds. And then we kept hearing rustling sound going on behind us as well. And there was no wind. So what we think was going on was the mama Bigfoot was coming in to go to the other one. And as they did these whoops, they kept going further and further away. It was the spookiest night, man. It was unbelievable.
That's wild. And we're going to, speaking of spooky, get back into the ghosts, but I do have to step away for just a minute. So, Eric, hold on. I'll be right back with you. This is some incredible evidence, guys, and you're seeing it first. I mean, he's got it on his videos, but on this show, on the Onyx Network, you're seeing it here first. I wish I'd known it was going to be like this because we'd have scheduled 2 hours for this and made it a double. But as you see, we got a lot of stuff there. We got more to hit, but we've got to talk about a few other things real quick first.
This is Margie Kay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us number one on Paranormal Talk Radio.
This September 6th through the 13th, join with like-minded souls in the experience of a lifetime on the Royal Caribbean Ovation of the Seas as we travel from Seattle to Alaska. Internationally renowned researchers, investigators, experiencers, authors, holistic healers, contactees, spiritual luminaries will sail on an extraordinary voyage of transformation. This cruise will explore UFOs, alien contact, cover-ups, ancient mysteries, the paranormal, holistic healing, and spirituality. Experience engaging lectures, one-on-one sessions, private, custom-tailored excursions, and a nightly UFO watch. The cruise is booking up fast. Go to contactatsea.com and be sure to mention the Onyx Network when you book. That's contactatsea.com or phone 336-749-1219. That's 336-749-1219.
All right, friends, as you can see, there's a lot going on, but I do want to remind you the X-Con is coming up quick. It's going to be October 11th through the 13th, Springfield, Missouri, Haunted Hotel. I'll be doing a lecture. I'll be showing you a little bit more on the side about dowsing rods, and then we're going to do some ghost hunting in that hotel, along with Michelle Roos. We got incredible speakers. We'll be talking more about that at the end of the show. But keep it in mind, because there's still time to get tickets, and there's still time to get a room in that hotel at a lower cost. So right now I got to get back to Eric because he's got me. Got my attention. All right, bud. Let's we talked about the cryptids, which you've got some incredible stuff there. And like I said, you heard me. I wish I'd have known it was going to go this way. We'd have had 2 hours, and I'd have done 2 tonight.
Dan, we could always do part 2.
We'll do it. We're going to do it. But I want to talk to you about this incredible UFO video you've got. I've never seen anything like this.
Neither did we. So last year, we got a lot of reports of this low hovering, brightly lit object over Bucks County, Pennsylvania, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And, and last year, if you really think about it, remember the jets were, shooting down these balloons and some other things that were way up there, and other things that were as big as a good sized car just floating up there, and like, what are they? What's flying around in the sky? So a gentleman contacted me, and he had been getting a lot of activity of this particular light over the last couple of seasons. That he's been seeing this thing come over his house at night, and it's not a star, it's not a satellite or anything like that. So he set up some cameras and some video, and this is what we got. And we went up and talked to him. His name is Mitch Sherman, and his wife. She had an unbelievable, Robin. She had an incredible encounter herself, but they were so great to talk to. And I love the fact that we're in an environment right now where people are coming forward talking about their stories, and because the government's saying, hey, you know what, folks, the UFOs you're seeing all these years are real. We just don't know what they are, and this is a prime example. I don't know what it is. But Mitch caught this on video, and I'll tell you, it's probably one of the best pieces of UFO evidence out there.
Well, this is no Chinese balloon. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
This is incredible. All right, let's play it and we'll talk about it.
When you see this light, what do they look like to you? Are they a straight line? Are they in a formation? Or
no, it's more like a giant orb with varying colors and pulses of light.
Wow. You had told me, Robin, you had a similar situation, but it was kind of like something that really kind of came right up to you. Could you tell us that story?
Yeah, I was sitting here, and Mitch had gone in the house, and I'm looking up there, and I from over here, I see, it was like the size of my finger. It came from way over there, and it just came right at me and right up to my nose, and I was yelling for Mitch to come out, and, it was right here, and all of a sudden, it just...
That was incredible too. Yeah, I mean, that who knows what that is? It was just insane. And it was silent. There's no sound. Now, we did an investigation at night, and later on, maybe about a month or so after that video, or 2 months after that video was taken, that we did that first investigation. We came back and did a night investigation. And Mitch was out there. He again was telling us where he saw it in the sky. And he was doing a laser pointer to show us where it was. As he did that, another light showed up out there, and we caught that on video. It just came up, it blinked on for a second and then came back off. It definitely was not a satellite. It wasn't a satellite or anything like that. But there was a star you could see, and then right next to the star, another light just blinked on and then blinked off.
Wow.
So weird. It was so weird. Oh my God, it was insane. So, I mean, and then we went and did a ghost investigation at Cheney Hall up in Manchester, Connecticut. And now my jazz quartet has played at this place for many, many years. And it's a Cheney Hall, beautiful place in Manchester, Connecticut. The director, Dwayne, said, yeah, I'd love for you guys to come in and do a video. So it was me, Dominic, and just me and Dominic on the video. So I wanted to bring Dominic. place has an incredible history. Susan B. Anthony had spoken there, and just has an incredible history. It goes back to the 1800s. It used to be a silk mill, a silk manufacturing plant, but they changed it, and it was in that particular area. But this was a performing hall, meeting place, and was just an incredible history. So we met with Dwayne and a couple of the employees that told us about certain things. And I have to say, whenever I get any of the history, and I'm sure you do this too, Dan, when I get the history and I know about the paranormal activity that's going on there, since I'm not a medium or anything like that, I don't tell Dominic anything. And if we get the location, I'll just drag him wherever. And he's like, "Where are you taking me now?" So, and then we get to the location, and then if I see that he's, zeroing in on something, then if he's about 98% there, I'll tell him what's going on. But until then, I don't say anything. So it's really great to get him on camera, and any of our mediums on camera, and it's to understand that what's going on. Prime example, the other night we did a video, and the gentleman the day before, and we didn't even know this when we got there, had seen a shadow figure. Well, Dominic tuned in on that and said, "Are you seeing a shadow figure here?" We didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about that. Mm-hmm. And Tim, the owner, his jaw dropped. He could not believe it. And what had happened? We saw the shadow that night. So that video is coming out pretty soon. It's called a haunted antique mall, of all places. So, but this particular video up at Cheney Hall, it was incredible. We were I had Dominic down in the dressing room. He had been tuning in on some weird activity down in this dressing room. And we rarely use REM pods. We've never really used REM pods or spirit boxes, only because I just don't like to use them, because I think you're going to get a false reading on some things, especially when we have equipment, that's going to pick up that radio frequency of the stuff that we're using. But we'll use the magnetometer, and we'll use the EVP. And so Dominic was using the EVP, and this is what happened.
Now, is this Fred's place or the homestead?
Yeah, Fred's
place. All right.
He liked being here.
This was almost more Fred's home than his home was.
Wow.
And I think he's keeping an eye on it.
With the stone shock realization of knowing that Dom just connected with Fred, I decided to go back up to the catwalk to try to capture the shadow woman. Meanwhile, Dom went down to the dressing room where he felt that energy earlier in the day and conducted an EVP session.
Is there anybody here? Do you have anything you want to say? Give me a sign that you're here. What the hell is that? Go for Eric.
Go.
Get your ass down here to the dressing room now.
So
what did I just see?
He was jumped up, and that's not Dominic. Dominic usually is a very calm one. Mm-hmm. But there was something there that clearly made its presence known. And then we found out later that a worker had the same exact experience.
Okay.
And now we went through it, Dan, and I'm sure, and I try to debunk these things. I'm not going to, I don't sit there and say that every place we go into is haunted, but when we have something like that happen,
yeah,
and our cameraman caught it too. I mean, you could see he was jumped up a little bit too. We went and looked at the vents. We looked at everything that it possibly could have been, but it was nothing like that. Okay. And we saw nothing else on video. We went back into that area. There was nothing there.
Well, it looks like something happened with his hand. It just.
Oh yeah, no, he got before that. If you hear that sound and then his hand,
okay,
he shook. Let's play it again and you'll see if you could get to that point. I don't know if you can.
Let's see.
He liked being here.
This was almost more Fred's home than his home was.
Wow.
And I think he's keeping an eye on it.
With the stone shock realization of knowing that Dom just connected with Fred, I decided to go back up to the catwalk to try to capture the shadow woman. Meanwhile, Dom went down to the dressing room where he felt that energy earlier in the day and conducted an EVP session.
Is there anybody here? Do you have anything you want to say? Give me a sign that you're here. What the hell is that? Go for Eric.
I swear I see something go past his hand there. Maybe it's
Oh,
I'm
well,
missing something.
maybe you saw something I didn't see. That's cool. It's good to get different eyes on it, though. That's good. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, maybe it's nothing, but I swear I see something go right across by his hand.
It was like an orb or something like that?
I don't know what it was. Just movement.
Okay. I'm going to look at that again.
What happened after that all happened?
Well, we were just right after that. We were like, he was pretty shaken up, and that's not him. He's pretty much like I am. We try to stay calm in the chaos, and but when you have stuff like that happen, it's like, wow, there is something else going on here that we can't put our finger on, but it's there, and I'm sure you know this too. I mean, they're doing experiments now with light spectrum, and why is it that we're able to see things better in night vision than we are in the regular light that we have? There could be spirits around us all the time, but we're seeing orbs and we're seeing shadows and things like that. So, and look, we know what lens flare looks like. That's not what it is. This is all a completely physical thing. The other thing is, we've got a lot of AI, a lot of AI fakery out there, right? And I'm sure it drives you crazy too, and look, we're both, and I know you too, we're good at discerning the truth from the BS, and when you see these things, it's like clearly they're fake, but there's always once in a while you have to raise an eyebrow. Now we go into this truth-based investigating, and that's why we don't use a lot of the stuff. We just use our instincts and use Dominic as that, humanistic, component to it. And again, I think he's like a magnet for these things because it just seems that he draws these things in, Do
you think it's because they recognize their opportunity to communicate?
That's a great question. Probably. I would think so. And I think there maybe a level of comfort as well.
Okay.
Because we're going in, not being belligerent or anything like that. We're going in kind, and we're going in a way that's non-threatening. And I also have to say too, we've never felt, except one place, we've never felt a malevolence.
Okay.
In a lot of the ghost investigations that we've done. I always say, and I don't know what your feeling is on this, but I always say if there's a place being haunted, they liked being there. They liked being there. Like that's why you get a lot of restaurants and pubs and inns that are being haunted because these spirits liked being there. Or maybe they don't even know that they're still there. Maybe they don't know that they've moved on. They're still there.
I think I've come across that more than anything else.
Yeah.
Tell us about the sugar bowl or the sugar dispenser.
Well, the sugar container. Well, we did an investigation up here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, of a place called the Hanoverville Roadhouse.
Okay.
And it's got a great history. Tiny Tim used to perform there, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I found that out. They used to have female mud wrestling at this place. It was it was crazy. It was like a biker bar. It was insane. But we went up there, and the owner, Mark, he had renovated the place. The place is beautiful now. I mean, it's just in great food. But we went up there because, he's been getting a lot of activity, just like a lot of really crazy activity. So he showed me security camera footage that he got. He was up in his office one night and he heard a big bang. And all of a sudden you see this chair just bolt out from the table. And so that was one in itself. So he showed me this footage and we're going to see this footage just so people know, so I could put this in context. He was taking the video from his screen on his computer. So if it's a little wonky that way, he was just taping it from his phone that way. So, but you could clearly see what happens here. So let's play that clip and then we can talk about it.
In this video, you could clearly see an orb flying over toward where the chair just pushed out from the table. Seconds later, some unknown force hurls the sugar container onto the floor. Truly a paranormal event caught on video.
How big a container is that?
It was a tiny, well, it was a little, you know those little sugar containers that are for coffee on tables?
Okay, yeah.
That's what it was. It was about this big, maybe about this big.
Okay.
That big. And yeah, and it was just thrown off the table. Now, when I looked at that video and I saw that chair bolt out of there and I looked at the sugar container, immediately I'm thinking to myself, well, there's probably somebody behind that wall that's, you know, throwing the container, you know, and making it look like it's being thrown. Anyone would look at that. Well, unless you're on site and you get to that area, and we got to that area and there's just no way anybody could be back there, because if you look at that picture, there's a wall, a low wall in that video. That wall extends all the way to the bottom, or all the way to the back wall. And you can't stand anywhere on that wall. You're going to be on camera. You're going to be seen on that security camera. Mm-hmm. So we tried those and it was just crazy because it was right there and you could see, but something happened. And when he went down to check the video, or when he went down to check the place after he had heard the crash, he said he walked right in the dark. He walked right by that chair. He didn't even know it was moved out until he backed up the security camera and saw all this stuff that was happening. And he could not believe it.
So when you was there, what happened with you guys?
We didn't really catch too much, except we didn't catch anything down in that area where the chair was. We put a static camera down on that chair. Nothing happened. But we went up to the attic. Mark had said, look, whatever you do, don't touch the mirror. If another group was in here, another paranormal group was in here. They turned that mirror around. It was against the wall. He said they turned it around and all kinds of paranormal activity and all hell broke loose. He's like, whatever you do, don't touch the mirror. So of course my friends they were all like, oh, why didn't you touch the mirror? And I'm like, well, he's a client. He's a paying.
He asked you not to. Yeah.
I'm not. And he asked me not to. So I'm not going to do that. But I did put a static camera up in the attic and we put it right on the mirror. Now we went downstairs and we were investigating some of the other claims that were going on. And while the camera's going up on there, we captured a shadow in the mirror, coming up in the mirror and down. And it was just like an accordion. It just was like breathing or something. And then it was gone. But there was nothing, no animals up there. There was nothing up there, no one up there. Wow. When I looked at that video, my jaw dropped. I showed it to Mark. He was like, he couldn't believe it. So we still have to go back and do another follow-up with him as well.
All right. Well, we've got about 3 minutes left here. And like I said, I got to get you back here, Eric, because the stuff you're showing is incredible.
Absolutely. And any of your listeners would want to. I have a new book. First book that I wrote. It's called Eric Mintel Casebook Investigations. And it covers our cases from 2016 on, whether it's the Beast of Bray Road, ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs. It's all right here. And it's an easy read, and pictures and stuff are in here. But it was a lot of fun. And my first book, and it's been so great, and getting a lot of people that are they're liking it and reviewing it, which is a lot of fun. So, like you said, I'll be getting up this week. I know this is probably going to be out after, but this weekend I'm speaking at the Exeter UFO Festival up in Exeter, New Hampshire, and then going to be speaking at the Mothman Festival on the 21st at 5:00 at a local church right there in town, where they have speakers set up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and joining me will be Dominic. So we're going to have a good time down there. I'm looking forward to it.
And I understand you'll be playing in a church right after you speak at Exeter.
Right at Exeter. They've got me playing some solo piano jazz. So some alien jazz.
All right. Well, folks, got to look this one up, especially here at the Facebook page and the YouTube page. And your videos are on your website also, aren't they?
They are. They're on the website, and we're always looking for more subscribers. So, on YouTube, please like and subscribe on Eric Mintel Investigates. We've got well over 100 videos and about 10 brand new videos coming up in October.
Oh,
And
wow.
Dan, I've got 28 days booked in a row in October. It's going to be insane.
You're going to be busy. Now, is those investigations or lecturing?
They're speaking engagements. They're all speaking engagements, and then premiering the videos that we're going to be doing too, and some of them.
Awesome. Awesome. Eric, I'm glad things are going well for you.
Thank you, Dan. Well, thank you to folks like you that are helping me get the word out there, and you in your research too. Keep going, man. I mean, because
we do.
We need people like you and me that are boots on the ground, investigating this stuff, trying to figure out what's going on.
Without producers and directors and people in the background saying we need more haunts, we need something here.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Eric, the evidence is incredible. Thanks for coming on, and I hope you'll come back after October. I'm sure you're going to be busy from now to
Absolutely. For you, Dan, I'm there. Just let me know.
Well, we'll set up a time because I want to get more. If you got more UFO like that too.
Oh yeah, we have a lot more. We've got a lot more.
All right. Well, keep me in mind, and I'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
You got it, buddy. Thank you,
Dan.
Take
care, buddy.
Bye.
Wow, can you believe that UFO was one of the most amazing videos? You remember the one Lily Nova did where it actually showed one shooting at another? A beam came out, the other one disappeared. That was wild. But this thing here was incredible. So check out his website. Check out his YouTube page. I have hit some of the videos on there just to prep for this, but there's a lot more we're going to have to see. All right, friends. Real quick, I do want to remind you of the XCon coming up. That is October 11th through the 13th. And like I said, Michelle and I will be running an investigation in that hotel. For those of you who's just tuning in, last year we held the XCon in the same hotel. I was in the back with my table. I did my speaking on Friday night. Saturday, I was sitting there watching the others. Maybe 100, 150 people in there ahead of me, and then in front of me, and then the folks on the stage. And suddenly, as we're sitting there, 3 or 4 shadow creatures just moved right across in front of us and disappeared into the next wall. Other people come to us afterwards saying, "Did you see that? Did you see the one on the stage walk past?" I missed that one, but they saw it. So then we went and talked to the folks running the hotel, and yeah, the place is haunted. We thought you knew that. So we're going to be trying to contact them, but we also got a lot of speakers. We got Tyler Kawala. He's going to be discussing the secret space fleet conspiracy. I know Debbie Ziegelmeyer is going to be there. She's head of MUFON from Missouri. She's going to be talking about UFOs and aliens, underwater bases. And of course, there's going to be ghosts, cryptids. Everything's going to be discussed, as always, just like on the UNX Network. Have you joined the UNX Network? Because, guys, it's free. Go to unxnetwork.com, put your email address in. That's it. And for that, you get access to the blog. And let me tell you guys, the blog has been burning up. The blog has UFOs, the Tic Tacs, the Mothman over the Mississippi River last week. There was Mothman sightings. There was cryptids sightings that we talk about. Witch stories, stories of true witches. All of this is on the blog. It's also a newsletter that fills you in on what's going on. Plus the magazine, which comes out once a month. And you can get it in print, but if you're a member, it comes straight to you by email. This one on the left, the dark one, I actually had 2 stories in that one. One on the haunted battleship North Carolina, and the other one was legends of Halloween, and I traced back to where they kind of come from. And I'm talking about legends like when they said, they put razor blades in apples, poison candy. They were trying to kidnap blonde-haired, blue-eyed virgins for sacrifice. Those kind of legends that used to come up every Halloween, where that kind of stuff come from. And the other one is time travel. We have issues on everything: cryptids, witches, witchcraft, ghosts. All of it's on there, and all of it is free. So what are you waiting for? Other than that, I'm going to go. I want to thank Eric. God, the evidence was incredible. And I'm telling you right now, we didn't even get to all of it because he had sent more but we just didn't have the time. And I wish I'd been able to put more time in, but we will get him back. And for you, my friends, I want to thank you all for showing up. Stay healthy, stay in the loop so you know what's going on. And I think most important of all is for you to stay spooked. Good night.